No further discussion?
There is further discussion. I have a statement I'd like to make, and I'd like it read into the record. I am deeply embarrassed, and I deeply regret the incidents that occurred in my personal life last year. I was going through a difficult time in my life, and I made some very poor decisions. In the 10 months since I made the mistake of drinking and driving, I've made significant changes in my personal life to ensure that I will never make those types of mistakes again. The press telegram, which openly opposed my election even against an opponent who no longer wanted the office, has lately done its best to present the mistakes I made in my personal life as having recently taken place. They have also cited items from over 12 years ago that have nothing to do with my service as a board member. I respect the First Amendment, and I respect the press telegram's duty to report on the actions of public officials. However, the publisher's motive in this case is questionable. To report the same information over and over again is a clear case of the type of yellow journalism campaigns that make readers distrust the media. Some of the attacks in the local media have been patently unfair and even ridiculous. For instance, a recent press telegram article stating that my teaching credential was suspended due to unpaid child support found its way onto the front page. When the paper discovered, as I had told them when first asked about it, that the agency had made a mistake and that my payments were in good standing, they elected to bury the article on page 3 and never issued an apology. Even more absurd was a recent article in the Long Beach Post that repeated false rumors that I don't live in Long Beach. That is completely incorrect. All of my friends and family know that I've lived nowhere but my apartment near First and Orange every day for the last 2 years. Again, I will not be waiting for an apology from the Press Telegram or the Chamber of Commerce who repeated these lies. Now the attacks have turned toward missed meetings. It is true that I missed 2 full meetings in November and October. I was running a fever of 103 during one of those meetings, and the other was due to my duties as a classroom teacher. When I took my seat on the board, I took a position in my school district outside of the classroom. This year, however, I've returned to the classroom, which is where my heart is. At the beginning of the school year, I did have some scheduling issues, which prevented me from getting to some of the closed sessions in a timely fashion. Those issues have now been resolved, and I expect that I will not be missing any more closed sessions. I would like to point out that I suggested that the board hold the closed sessions after the open session quite some time ago, but my request was ignored. I'm sure it's more convenient for the majority of the board members who are retired and do not have a direct duty to students during the day to hold meetings in the afternoon. However, working parents have a right to serve on this board, and I find it hypocritical for my retired colleagues to refuse to move the time of the closed session meetings and then criticize me for not leaving my teacher responsibilities early. With this in mind, I'd like to ask the superintendent to agendize for the next meeting a motion to have the closed session after the open session. This will not only allow working members of the board to avoid leaving their responsibilities, but will allow members of the public to weigh in on closed session matters before the board takes action on them. It is my firm belief that my tenure as a Board of Education member has been productive and successful. If it weren't for the efforts of Dr. Barton and myself, working parents and other members of the community would not be able to see this board meeting on TV. Additionally, members of the public would not be able to easily access district records on the internet. I visit schools and I ask tough questions at the meetings that the public should have a right to hear asked of district staff. Though some of my colleagues would seemingly prefer to get any questions they have answered behind closed doors, I think that does a disservice to the community who elected us. School board meetings should not be an exercise in self-congratulation and rubber stamping the superintendent's decisions. School board meetings should be about making sure that every district decision, every dollar spent, improves the performance of students and teachers in the classroom. As a classroom teacher, I focused all of my efforts as a board member on how the board and the district can best support students and teachers in the classroom. I believe that the closer scrutiny that I have provided has elevated the performance of the board and the district as a whole. I'm proud of what I've accomplished so far as a Board of Education member, and I look forward to serving at least 2 more years in this role. Let me conclude by saying that I remain 100% committed to my duties as a school board member. Though I hold myself fully accountable for my own personal mistakes, I do not believe that they are sufficient to overturn the will of my constituents who elected me. I will not allow anyone, no matter how hard they try, to distract me from doing the job I was elected to do. Thank you.
We'll call for the vote. Thank you. We'll call for the vote. It will be a roll call vote. Voting yes means that you vote to support the motion. Voting no means that you do not support the motion, and the other is to abstain. Member Barton.
No.
Member Stanton.
Yes.
Member Myers.
Yes.
Member Ellis.
No.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.